There's a Zen proverb that says, before enlightenment, chop wood, carry water. After enlightenment, chop wood and carry water. It's a reminder that even after awakening, life is still life. There are still dishes to do, bills to pay, hearts to mend. So how do we stay soft or awake in a world that often numbs us? Today on Must I Evolve, we explore what it means to live an unjaded life, not by pretending that life hasn't hurt us, but by choosing to stay open anyway.
Welcome to Must I Evolve, a lecture series on spiritual growth and philosophy, presented in conjunction with No Expectations, the podcast.
Welcome to another episode of Must I Evolve, a space where ancient wisdom meets modern science, where inner work meets real-world results. I'm Andrew H. Housley, author, board-certified wellness consultant, certified holistic nutritionist, and yoga instructor with 25 years on the mat, and even more in mindful observation. This podcast is a mirror, a question, and sometimes a nudge. Jadedness, we've all experienced it before. When we become jaded, we grip. We cling to stories, the idea that didn't work before. People always disappoint. Why bother trying again? Just painting with broad strokes and thinking that we've seen it all, so we already know the outcome of all events. And in doing so, when we use that type of behavior and that type of language, jadedness becomes our armor. And the truth is, armor doesn't keep the pain out, it keeps life out. I'm reminded of a story when I was teaching at a studio in Atlanta. We used to do community teaching sessions, so brand new teachers just out of teacher training would come and teach a free class. And this one teacher, recently graduated teacher, had come to teach a class, and I remember her being very, very reserved, very kind of mousy and meek, and she was very, very nervous. She was, very conservatively dressed, and just she was struggling to teach the class, and she did fine, and she taught the class as best she could, and she was very grateful. And strangely enough, I was teaching at another studio about a year later, and that same person who I almost didn't even recognize was working at the studio. And since I had seen her last, she had gone through more teacher training, and she was at a different level. Not only did she look physically different, she'd let her hair grow long, she was wearing, wispy clothes and, elephant print yoga pants and all of this stuff, but her attitude had changed. And she told me that she wanted to come take my class, and she did. And during the entire session, she didn't follow any of my instructions that I was offering the whole class. And I asked her after class, I said, why, what's the problem? And she's like, oh, I didn't really feel like doing that. And I didn't think it was very good. And as a teacher, I tried not to take that personally. But what the lesson I learned there is that she had gone through this process of becoming jaded. And by putting her armor on, she was not only not open to something new, she had already acted like she had seen it all and experienced it all, and there was nothing I could say during class that was going to be enlightening for her. So instead of being open, she closed down, put her armor on, and was defensive. So what if we, instead of armoring up, we let ourselves be in touch with the moment again? Just be present. And that was my invitation to her. In our spiritual practice, we think that we always have to be doing a lot of work. There's a lot of study or meditation, but there's a lot of different layers to practice in the discipline of finding our true nature. And reverence is one of those things. Reverence is seeing the art and beauty that is often overlooked in day-to-day life. When we're jaded, nothing feels sacred. Everything becomes kind of dull and gray. But using reverence and injecting that back into our daily life, it brings color back into those things. So here's a practice. Every day, find one small thing to bow to with reverence. You can either do it literally or silently. Maybe it's a flower. Maybe it's a moment of silence. A bird chirping in the background. And let that be your way back to wonder. So we live in a culture where we think that you need to be strong and powerful to be respected. But there is real beauty in softness. And softness is not weakness. We think about resilience. And resilience is pliable, also very soft. It bends like bamboo. It absorbs like moss. And when you feel jaded in the future, ask, am I resisting life or am I breathing into it? And you can do a simple exercise of inhale slowly, hold, and then gently exhale fully. And tell yourself this breath is a reminder that you are still here. You're still soft and open. So we've lived a life, we've seen a lot of things, and maybe we have become jaded. Is it ever too late to start over? No. I think about a story of when a student asks his Zen master, how do I begin again? And the master simply poured tea and said, start by noticing the steam. So notice the steam that comes off the hot tea, the light on the wall, the echo of your footsteps. Living unjaded means noticing what others overlook, finding the sacredness in the simple. Wrapping up today's episode about becoming unjaded, there's a Japanese aesthetic called wabi-sabi. It's the beauty of imperfection, of things worn, weathered, and wise, and how to many people that looks like old and trashy. But there's beauty in that. I live in a town of New Orleans that is well worn and weathered and been through some things. I see the beauty in that. I see the weathered buildings and the potholed streets as my connection to the impermanence of life and the impermanence of things. And I'm always reminded of the great quote from D.T. Suzuki that says, the beginner's mind is the mind of compassion. And when our mind is compassionate, it is boundless. Jadedness is the opposite of the beginner's mind. It's closed, protective, and finite. But when we return to the beginner's gaze, every moment is fresh. Every person is new. And every act of compassion can come from each breath. So here's our invitation. Let yourself be surprised again. Let yourself forgive what hardened you. Let yourself start over, not because you failed, but because you've grown. And live like a fresh morning, soft, open, awake. Thanks for listening to Must I Evolve. Remember, you don't have to be perfect, you just have to be patient. That's the real practice. As for your next evolution, it doesn't live in who you should become, it lives in what already grows within you. Until next time, keep evolving, quietly, consistently, and always with no expectations.